It's not Superman, it's not Batman, it's not a superhero comic.
Gargoyles is all about shaking people up.
But you can't believe everything you see on TV.
It broke the mold.
As we went out to explore the world, we were also exploring different cultures.
I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I thought the scripts were brilliant.
We were still finishing up the post-production on season 1 when I was called into a meeting with Buena Vista Television, and they gave us some great news. They wanted to give us a pickup for season 2. They said, how many episodes can you do for season 2? And I said, we did 13 the first season, so we can do 13. And they said, 13, how about 52? And I said, how about a nervous breakdown?
Getting an order for 52 episodes was pretty exciting after the first season. What wasn't really exciting about it is that we had a very short time in which to do it, so it was kind of like a mad dash.
So the theme for season 2, both behind the scenes and on screen, became expansion.
52 episodes in several different studios working on the animation is a little crazy.
Suddenly we went from being this tiny little crew in Los Angeles sending stuff out to Japan to being this big mammoth production almost overnight.
Speed is the key.
Slow and steady wins the race.
It makes it a lot easier if you use stock background, stock characters and all that. And that was not this show. This show was a new adventure every week in every sense of the word.
Now we had expanded the crew, but we also had to expand the world of the Gargoyles universe to create this tapestry of characters and events and place and time that would allow us to tell 52 stories and not run out of ideas. We did the world tour, at least, planned it and began it. We expanded back in time. We filled in the blanks between where our series had begun in 10th century Scotland and where it currently was in 20th century Manhattan.
I think if we kept them in New York, there was the danger of falling into a kind of a formula. And by taking them out of that and sending them on this big trip, it opened us up to all kinds of new stories.
You get it into an action-adventure cartoon, it's always about the action or the adventure. The character seems almost secondary. This type of show, the action-adventure is the secondary part because it's all about character.
In our original development for Gargoyles, we had this trio of young gargoyles who became eventually Brooklyn, Lexington, and Broadway.
Catch Lex?
Isn't this great?
It just doesn't get any better than this.
I think Brooklyn really came into his own in the second season. It had always been our plan that he was the next Goliath, that he would be the next leader of the clan.
I think he was always up to the responsibility of becoming a Goliath. He wanted to be the hero, but, didn't exactly always know how.
How long has it been like this?
Your friend is impatient. The curse of youth.
Jeff played just a ton of characters, and what's great about Jeff is every time the voice is distinct. You never know.
It's a bike. Isn't that a cool bike?
Yes, it is a very cool bike. Unfortunately, we're going to have to blow it up. I'm so sorry, Brooklyn.
Yes, but before we blow it up, I'd like to change it into a beautiful woman.
You'll forgive me if I just shake your hand. Of course. I'm quite glad the plan worked.
Bill Fagerbakk's work as Broadway was just brilliant. I mean, you had to fall in love with that guy.
Broadway got to do a lot of funny stuff, and I'm comfortable with that, and certainly working in a sitcom put me in a situation where I could enjoy the jokes. So I love the humor of Broadway. I love being the goofball. That's far more fun than being a serious one.
And then, of course, you've just got this incredibly endearing performance from Tom Adcox, who played Lexington.
When I saw the description of Lexington, it reminded me a lot of myself, except for I know nothing about computers. But he was hyper and energetic and excited about everything. It's too weird. Kind of fun, but weird.
Everybody brought a certain special quality to their characters. There's a certain part of Ed Asner that you will see in Hudson.
It's going to be a bad night. The character reference referred to Hudson as Hudson hates spunk. I never did Hudson with spunk. I did Hudson with grouchy old man is what I generally portrayed.
I mean, if anybody would have told me that I would be sitting next to Ed Asner, we both are playing gargoyles, of course.
I mean, I always loved the script. I thought the variations and the casting and the grouping, the selection of characters was always wonderful.
Our second season was the opportunity to really delve deeper. We had Goliath and Hudson and Bronx, and we had a strong female character in Elisa, and we had a powerful female villain in Demona. But I felt very strongly that we were missing something, that we were missing a positive, feminine gargoyle influence.
Surely we were sent here for something more important than this.
The character of Angela was a new character we brought in, and she went with our guys on the world tour. And she was a fascinating character to work for because she was utterly naive. She was a gargoyle that had never been out to see the world, so we got to look at the world through fresh eyes every time we worked with her. And the actor who played her, Bridget Bacco, was marvelous.
I have to go. See the world. Find my place in it.
What I thought was really interesting about Angela, she was very strong, even though she was very young. She was very young and there was still a naivety to her, and certainly about this gargoyle world that she was entering into with her father. But I thought there was a great sadness about her, that she always had to fight. Angela was a very classic character to me. I sort of positioned her after Juliet and Desdemona and many, many great Shakespeare characters. So I felt I got to do the classics when I went to work to do gargoyles.
If the humans knew how valiant gargoyles are, would they not open their hearts?
Gargoyles was so Shakespearean in nature that it just seemed a natural to begin including Shakespeare characters. We started with Macbeth in the first season, but it's the second season where I really started to get out of control with it.
I thought everybody knew this.
Yeah, that guy Shakespeare wrote a play about them. A Midsummer Night's Dream?
It made the show really different from any show that was out there.
I think the thing that caught me about this show and intrigued me was its intelligence. It was a really intellectual show. It was a really historical show. I mean, it made you think. And I thought it was so great that kids were getting obsessed with this show because they were learning so much while they watched it.
One of our hopes, sincere hopes, was that kids would watch the show and go, I want to know more about Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm going to go get that play and read it. And in fact, the fans have told me that that happened. It's one of the things I'm proudest of.
Don't gush all over us, okay? It's kind of embarrassing.
I've been in 30 movies and 5 TV shows, and I get more fan mail from gargoyles than anything I have ever done.
The fans were, and are, remarkable. I mean, their loyalty to the show is great.
I think it's pretty phenomenal that they'll take the time, and the effort to do the things that they have in keeping gargoyles alive after all these years.
They've maintained my passion for the show, and I think they're, a big part of the reason that this DVD is existing at all.
A lot of times when you write animation, you're not going to get real deep into it because it's usually just one character whacking the other on the head or something like that. And we really got into some dark stuff, some interesting stuff from the bottoms of our psyches for it.
It always went beyond, some kind of weird gothic pro wrestling thing. It went beyond that into these wonderful relationships that these characters have.
My greatest complaint about the show was that they didn't write Hudson in enough.
I felt like it was like a theater ensemble group of characters.
It makes me proud to have been a part of it.
It's about optimism. You have these characters which have very little to be optimistic about, and yet at the end of the day, when everything has been thrown their way, they're still standing and they're still optimistic that there's going to be a better tomorrow.